My name's Neil Dahlstrom. I'm the manager of corporate archives and history at John Deere. By 1928, there's over 100,000 tractors being sold annually. And what started, similar to John Deere competing with 2,000 plow makers in 1860, it's decisions you made and decisions you didn't make, or decisions to not make those decisions. John Deere had an employee that came and he had designed what they called a Rein-Steer or a Rein-Steer tractor. So it was this kind of transitionary type of tractor. It was essentially a motorized cultivator that you steered with reins, so that it was like you were operating a horse. And John Deere, there were several manufacturers making those. Deere decided to pass on that. There was opportunities to build tractors for other manufacturers. John Deere went out and tried to acquire a couple companies. It turns out that some of those companies had already been sold, and 10 or 15 years later, those companies were bankrupt because the tractors were too large. And Deere decided to focus on smaller tractors. So there's a lot of decisions that could have been made, a lot of decisions that were made. So it's always interesting to think back to what could have been. It's a very revisionist view of the world, but it also demonstrates the importance of making good decisions for the long term versus decisions for the very short term. And again, it's why you've heard of John Deere and you haven't heard of a lot of these other companies that came and went and are now kind of relegated to the annals of history. When John Deere decides to go into the tractor business in 1912, there's a handful. By the 1920s, there's several hundred. By the 1930s, you're down to a handful again. So how do you survive? How do you introduce good products that people are interested in, that help them become more profitable? It's the same story in the 1860s as it is in the 1920s as it is today.